Your Excellencies, distinguished representative of member states, fellow youth advocates and changemakers, esteemed colleagues and honored guests, good afternoon and welcome to this official side event to the UN Forum of Science, Technology and Innovation for the Sustainable Development Goals. My name is Anaïs Clermont. I am Franco-Portuguese, a junior at Columbia University, studying political science and sustainable development. I stand before you as your moderator, young and deeply honored. I began at 14 as a UNICEF Youth Ambassador. I became a UNICEF climate representative, drafting policy briefs, contributing to France ratification of international instruments protecting children's rights from climate change. I am also a sailor. I spent 3 months at sea researching and combating plastic pollution, founded an NGO to continue my work on land, and stood among the young voices at the United Nations Ocean Conference. Step by step, room by room, from local stages to this one here today. Pierre Corneille said, "Aux âmes bien nées, l'expérience n'attend pas les années." So for those born with purpose, worth does not wait for years. For those born with purpose, worth does not yet for years. Youth is not a limitation, it is a mandate. We are the largest generation of young people in human history, and yet, how often are we truly present in the rooms where decisions are taken? I call us realistic utopians. We see the world as it is, but we refuse to accept it and to give up, and we continue to drive for change because we believe in a better world. It is our future, and we show up here as proof. It is with that conviction that I am proud to stand alongside my distinguished colleagues, José and Grete, youth representative of IAAI GloCha.
Thank you, Anaïs Clermont, and thank you. And hello, esteemed guests, colleagues, fellow change makers across the world. It is truly a pleasure and honor to be here with you all today. I am Mexican-American from the city of Oxnard, California. I just recently returned from 2.5 years abroad in Geneva, Switzerland, working with 3 different United Nations agencies on the issue of disconnected youth and learning how to connect those youth across different United Nations Sustainable Development frameworks, whether refugees, homeless youth, conflict-driven, or just those wanting to change the environment, right? The Sustainable Development Goals. Pause, right? We find ourselves at a critical juncture in time where the UN system is under attack. Progress towards the UN SDGs is regressing, and youth are growing increasingly anxious and helpless about our world, wondering, what can we do? Here today, we are advancing one such solution to that question as our world faces a multitude of intersectoral challenges. As part of our Good Life for All campaign, we are here with GloCha and Miroslav Polzer to offer this solution to the world. But before we get to this point, I want Anaïs to give her definition of what GloCha means to her.
When I founded my NGO, I encountered what so many ambitious change makers face. Not a lack of will, but a lack of infrastructure. 3 walls are standing between vision and impact. First, how do we create change when you cannot access the knowledge to do so? Then, the recognition problem. You do the work, but without the data, without proof, it is as it never happened. Then, the lack of trust. Without data, there is no credibility. And without this, there is no funding. And without funding, there is no change, and the change stalls. GloCha breaks those 3 walls and breaks through all 3. It is an inclusive, localized data platform accessible to everyone, regardless of who you are, where you come from, or what resources you hold. It empowers every individual to act with purpose, to document their impacts, and to be seen, because you are what you do. GloCha makes the invisible visible.
And with that, our purpose is to bring the UN to you with the TH. So our event today is titled Global Challenges Action ID and Global Challenges Action Registry, Empowering Youth-Led Action for Healthy Lifestyles, Healthy Communities, and a Healthy Planet with Digital Public Infrastructure. In the next 90 minutes, you will hear from member state representatives, innovators, youth leaders, and global partners who are building and piloting the digital tools that help us answer a fundamental question: who is doing what for the common good? Where, how, with what resources, and with what outcomes? And how do we make the visible, credible, and rewarding? So just a few housekeeping rules for everybody today, okay? Please keep your phones on silent. We have a full and ambitious agenda, so I will be keeping us closely to time. We will have an opportunity for interaction and questions towards the end of the session. So with that, introduction to keynote speaker number one, the Bahamas. I want to introduce our keynote speaker for His Excellency Stano Smith, Permanent Representatives of the Commonwealth of Bahamas to the United Nations in New York. Ambassador Smith will speak to how digital transformation and partnerships can reimagine global cooperation for individuals, well-being, and the common good. As Ambassador Smith cannot be with us in person today, he has shared a recorded message. So please direct your attention to the screen.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, young leaders, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to address you at this timely side event. I commend the IAAI, GloCha, and all of our co-organizing partners for bringing us together around a question that could not be more urgent. How do we reimagine global cooperation for individual well-being and for the common good through digital transformation and genuine partnerships? We are in the infancy of a new architecture, the science and technology frontier in innovation. And multilateralism, if it is to remain relevant, has to be deliberately designed to blend the policy and pilot community into the spheres of human endeavor that every day are involved in building the world. What is interesting about this moment is that the conversations we most need about physically constructing the next designs of infrastructure, about the metrics for liquidity, tradability, and verifiability of emerging assets of global productivity, about building platforms for equity that bridge the local to the global. These are all, at present, only caravans of engagement passing through the United Nations. Workshops, high-level political fora, side events like this one, and symposia. They pass through, and then they move on. Under the UN 80 initiative, I'm calling on the United Nations to add to its incomparable convening power an innovation and standards hub, not as an occasional forum, but as an integral, inherent physical mechanism in the daily work of this organization. We recognize that technologies are transforming the world faster than regulations can keep pace. We recognize, too, that for small island developing states like the Bahamas, the distance between a promising pilot and a bankable, scalable project is often the distance between setback and progress. An innovation and standards hub would close that distance. It would collect the power of the individual state and organizational efforts being showcased here today, including the GloCha digital public infrastructure tools and the youth-led pilot programs, and harmonize them into sustainable, impactful solutions. The innovations you will see demonstrated today are impressive, but I want to name openly the challenge that no single event can resolve on its own. The issue of the sustainability, scale, and the depth of funding expertise required to translate world-changing ideas into world-changing impact. And so I close with two offerings. First, my wish for this session is that we see ourselves as standing at the beginning, not as a success in ourselves, but at the beginning of a moment for crafting a new multilateralism that joins the old competitive advantage of the United Nations in authoring advice to its would-be competitive advantage in orchestrating relevant global outcomes. Second, I'm pleased to mention that the Bahamas will offer to member states in the coming weeks a draft resolution calling on the United Nations to direct the build-out of a universal Web3 technology for the international interoperable movement of stablecoin for all countries around the world. We believe this will contribute to the fairness, the speed, and the efficiency that innovation demands for the liquidity, tradability, and verifiability of inherent assets and the financial innovations that are emerging. It should support and underpin in many of the innovations being presented in our session today and those that will come. The Bahamas stands ready to partner and to champion these efforts. I thank you, and I wish you a productive session.
We want to give thanks to our ambassador, Stano Smith, for that video recording. And I'm here to pass the baton over to Anais to introduce our next speaker.
David Gonahasa is team leader for Industry 4.0 Plus at the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation at the Republic of Uganda, one of our valued government partners. David will speak to the role of digital public infrastructure in empowering climate entrepreneurship and advancing carbon market readiness. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, my role here is simple. It is to show you where we actually are applying technology to try and solve some of the gaps that are always mentioned in these rooms. How do we use DPI to allow for the development of locally built climate solutions? Next slide, please. And here's the thing. Africa is the least of all the emitters, if there was a scale to that. But then we are one of the most vulnerable and most impacted by climate change. And to be honest, not very much climate, a lot of climate finance does reach Africa, but very little of it actually is managed by Africans. Next slide. And here's what is happening. This is where the structural failure exists. To a very huge extent, a lot of climate action is externally driven. Over 80% of the finance is designed, managed, and implemented entirely outside the African continent. Speculators are running amok on the continent, getting paid for the carbon credits generated on the African continent across the world. What that means is a broken trust chain. There's very limited transparency between who acts, who is verified, and this is negatively impacting a lot of the action that has been planned over the last few years. Next, please. And what it means is simple. On one part, if we have an external-driven model, it means that there's no control of the action on the continent. Verification is complicated, complex, opaque. The financial flows are captured by intermediaries, and the primary beneficiaries are the carbon market speculators. What we want to see is more Ugandan communities and farmers directly involved in climate action and benefiting. We want to see more DMRV built and developed on the continent. We want to see payments made directly to farmers for carbon credits traded, and local households and youth being the actual beneficiaries, because without ownership, we will not have the action that we so badly require. And what we've done is leverage DPI, digital public infrastructure, to remove or reduce the complexity and make it easier for a number of local operators to actually actively play and be a part of this process. One platform to allow for community actors to benefit, verification systems to be built, and investment flows to come into the African continent. And this is a screenshot of this platform. The Power Carbon platform was built by white labeling a platform called EverCity. It allows for small project developers to begin the process of developing or designing carbon projects. It allows them to be registered and, most importantly, access finance they so badly need through a number of instruments built on the African continent. I'll give you a few examples. This is a over 100-hectare climate-smart coffee project. This will directly impact up to 100,000 farming households, unlocking over $1 billion in revenue in Uganda, and allow for project activity around agroforestry, biochar, EUDR compliance, food security, and youth employment. This has been purely designed by Ugandan project developers and actively supported through the Power Carbon platform. Next slide. And what this does is unlock a very strong finance multiplier. On the base layer, you have the coffee and agriculture, you have the carbon credits, but you're able to give or have a methodology to give transition loans to farmers that are part of this process, be able to unlock the EUDR premiums that may be limited because of very poor data or very poor data collection at farmer level or at project level. And lastly, Article 6 ITMOs, which Africa so badly needs to increase project development and activity. Another example is a wildlife corridor project in the Bwindi area. The beauty of this, we all speak about the endangered mountain gorillas and how there has to be more responsible conservation action. But what's happening is the forest keeps receding over and over again because of human activity. And you won't blame the human beings because they also need to farm, but we need to find smarter ways to build projects that actively care for not just the conservation of species, but also the community. This will restore 320,000 hectares of this landscape, saving over 120 species. And the beauty of it, a lot of the hardware being built around a project like this is not only being designed in Uganda with partnership with some global entities, but also being manufactured in Uganda, which means that you're able to actually unlock the true scope or impact of what climate action should be. What do we want? A new architecture for climate action is all that we call for. One, again, and I'll reiterate this, ownership should be local. Solutions designed by communities, not extracted by aggregators. DPI equips farmers to own, verify, and monetize their own climate impact, which is very important. Radical transparency. Every ton of carbon, every payment, every ecosystem outcome should be traceable on an open, publicly auditable registry. Lastly, the stacked impact. Move beyond single-use credits. High-integrity data will unlock a lot of the benefits that should accrue to the communities and villages that are actively running this activity. And lastly, this, we think, should be able to help us as a country truly unlock the benefits of climate action. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Uganda's leadership on integrating digital tools into climate and STI policy is truly inspiring. We now move into the heart of today's session, a live demonstration of the GloCha DPI tools. And Dr. Miroslav Polcer is the Executive Director of IAAI GloCha and the architect of the digital ecosystem you're about to see demonstrated. He will walk us through 3 core building blocks: the Global Challenges Action ID, also called the Impact Passport, the Global Challenges Action Registry, and the Challenges Mapping Tool. Miroslav, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Anais. It's a great pleasure being here. First, thank you to all co-organizers, partners of today's event. The Mission of Bahamas, Ambassador Smith is really our champion and thought leader on this systemic transformation that the world needs. And then also especially the Science and Technology Secretariat of Uganda. It's really an honor to be with you. The mission of Dominica, then Rotary, Environmental Sustainability, Rotary Action Group, International Organization of Youth, Music for SDGs, UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, and several other benevolent partners and team members. So, thanks to our youth delegates, it's really inspiring and beautiful to have you and to listen to you, and you have a good vision of the world, and we will try to help you to implement it. So our vision is empowering everyone everywhere to take meaningful and rewarding action for the common good. IAAI, International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges, is a UN-accredited NGO, and we are building this GloCha, Global Challenges Action Empowerment ecosystem with culture, technology, and organizational innovation. So in the title of today's event, it's that we want to empower youth-led action for healthy lifestyles, healthy communities, and a healthy planet with digital public infrastructure. So what is this digital public infrastructure? Let's look at the definition on Wikipedia, and let's see how we can, with the help of digital public infrastructure, understand who is doing what, where, how, with what kind of resources, and what kind of impacts around the world for the common good on the local and global level. So it's DPI refers to digital systems and platforms that enable the delivery of services, facilitate data exchange, and support digital governance across various sectors. DPI includes elements such as digital identity systems, payment platforms, and data exchange protocols designed to be scalable, interoperable, and accessible to both government and private sector participants. What we are doing with our work is somehow we look at very concrete people and their communities in very specific locations, and then building through these mobile devices as this bridge between the individual and the global community. We built this bridge with DPI so that social energy, knowledge, and funding can reach the local action, but also that the individual with his own creative powers and financial resources and knowledge can empower also local action in other places. And in this session, we will talk about our solutions, Global Challenges Action ID, Global Challenges Action Registry, and the Challenges Mapping Tool is a collaborative geospatial intelligence tool. But we will also speak with our colleagues here about the concrete needs. Why is this needed? And so brief walkthrough about through these solutions. So first, it's this Global Challenges Action ID. So that's something we believe is really transformative. All our campaign partners, members, participants will have self-sovereign digital identity with the partner organizations sharing there also the certain level of verified identity. And it has NFC tag. So if people tag it, then you can use it to really verify a person's identity. You can verify attendance of events and really build communities and build trust because nowadays in times of AI, if you have any kind of action claim or request for funding or so, the first impulse is to think, everything is fake. Why should I believe that this claim or so is real? And so with this NFC technology, Internet of Things technology, in which Austria has also some of the leading companies which have developed this technology, this is really a game changer. It's a bridge between the real world and the virtual world. It's also for young people very important that they have possibility to build their own identity and then to register the activities that they are doing for the common good, for healthy lifestyles, healthy communities, and healthy planet in register, which is the basis for verification and certification, and later also for monetization of impact and action claims. And the point here why we believe this is very important is also that there are many mental health issues nowadays, and young people feel very lost. They feel powerless and somehow unrecognized what they are doing. And our message here is, I am what I do. It's not so important what passport I hold or what religion I have or whatever. What manifests in my real life with my actions and the impact that I'm creating, that's me. And with this Global Challenges Action ID and the Global Challenges Action Registry and the corresponding verification, validation, certification mechanisms, we empower youth. And so we have also this knowledge tool, the JET4CE Challenges Mapping Tool. It was developed in this Interreg Central Europe project. And people have this citizen science tool. They can go in their neighborhoods and then really identify, localize, and specify the challenges and the action potentials that they see in their neighborhoods. And we are putting all these tools in this GloCha Good Life for All campaign, a big call with some of the world's leading youth organizations, including International Organization of Youth, that we calling people to really use the tools and take action for healthy people, healthy communities, and healthy planet. And we will have a Getting Ready Festival for this campaign in August in Austria. We have booked this whole youth and sports hotel in Bleiburg in my home region, and then there we will prepare the tools, test the tools, campaign support, and then we will present it at our annual GloCha conference on the 17th of September here at the UN headquarters, New York. And we have also an exhibit at the curved wall space upstairs between the 14th and the 18th. And today's event is an invitation to everyone who is potentially looking for inspiration and for a nurturing environment to join us. Please scan the QR code. We will have also after the event there in the back the possibility that you scan the QR code, or you could even tag this NFC and getting then connected to a survey where you can then express your interest to be involved. And here are the contacts, and that's somehow the my presentation. And now we are going to the next part of this first session to discuss pilot use cases. As I said, it's not, we love our solutions, of course we do, but it needs also to be relevant for real people and especially for youth. And with this, I give the word to Ali Mustafa, the founder and president of International Organization of Youth. So tell us about what you are doing and what needs we might potentially be able to address with our solutions.
Thank you, Miro, and greetings, everyone, and greetings to all the protocol observed in the room. At the International Organization of Youth, I'm going to start with thanking Miroslav Polzer and IAAI GloCha for the support and partnership, a long partnership that goes on beyond a decade between Miro and me working on young youth issues and supporting young people, getting young people's foot inside the United Nations. And we founded International Organization of Youth, and with International Organization of Youth, we have connected youth to the United Nations and UN to the youth. It goes both ways. Youth are being part of the UN framework through the system that we have created, through the partnerships that we have created for a very long time now, and we are contributing massively. Young people are contributing massively now with the UN framework, especially those on on ground, on marginalized places, especially in Global South. And so the technology has been playing a key role on how we founded International Organization of Youth and moving forward with that. One thing I'd like to mention, like the things that we are doing is we are contributing to the United Nations Security Council by making the first time ever Los Angeles Pathway to Peace Youth Declaration. We're calling it Los Angeles Pathway to Peace because it's going to be announced at the International Youth Conference in 2 weeks in Los Angeles, and a youth declaration is being provided with the input of at least 1,500 young people from across the globe that are going to provide input to the UN Security Council for their youth, peace, and security resolution. So all being done with the help of the technology. Not just that, we are on a way to we are actively writing a draft resolution for the UN General Assembly with the sponsorship of several member states. At this time, I'm not going to mention the name of the member states, but we are actively writing the UN draft resolution for the inclusion of youth into the UN processes, which means the United Nations will be mandated to provide young people through the UN General Assembly resolution a seat into the process that takes place at the UN system. And it means like youth being present in Security Council, youth being present at General Assembly, and all other frameworks across the globe, not just New York. We are providing real-time data support to a lot of UN agencies, including UN Youth Office, UN Habitat, IOM, and all the other UN agencies. One of the most important campaign that I'd like to mention, which is a show of power, which is absolutely a show of impact, that is Youth in Action campaign that is going to start on from May 16 to May 20th, where we are taking coordinated global actions, coordinated 450 global actions in 76 countries all across the world. And they're being taken on in this week, and they are going to report this action to us. We are verifying those actions through all the tools that we have. And then we are going to start an International Youth Conference with that impact and with the help of that things that we are doing. One thing I'd like to mention that we are also working to do the first ever Youth and AI Policy Summit at the United Nations this year. And we are actively working on to get the partners. I would like to give a shout out to Microsoft Elevate for supporting us in that. And of course, this is going to be a groundbreaking and annual AI summit for the youth and AI policy, which most probably gonna happen in August or September this year. All thanks to Mira. Thank you, Mira, for providing us the platform.
Thank you very much, Ali. Congratulations to the great work. But what I would also like to highlight is you have this call for action, and you have really wonderful stories of youth taking action, leading action, but this is self-reported data. So if you want to monetize it or so, it is of limited value because people can say everything is made up. So, and therefore, today's session, the tools, the digital public infrastructure that we are developing really to give value to the youth-led action, to really bringing them on the next level, to build their legacy and to become micro-impact entrepreneurs. And a great youth leader is Lamar. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your work and how it relates to today's topic.
Good afternoon, everyone, distinguished ambassadors, representatives, partners, and fellow young leaders. My name is Lamar Zalogran, and I'm honored to speak today on behalf of the International Organization of Youth and my own organization, Empowering Afghan Women, that I have been running since 2021. I come from Afghanistan, a country where millions of young people, especially girls, are currently facing one of the greatest human rights and education crises in the world. When the Taliban returned to power, millions of girls were banned from secondary schools and universities. Young women lost access not only to education, but also public life, opportunities, leadership, and hope for the future. Many Afghan youth today are growing up surrounded by poverty, conflict, displacement, mental health struggles, and isolation from the rest of the global community. But despite these challenges, Afghan youth haven't given up so far. Through my organization, we work to provide hybrid education, mentorship, workshops, leadership opportunities, and international advocacy platform for these young girls and youth. We help young people to continue learning even when classrooms are closed for them. We connect Afghan youth with global conversation on human rights, diplomacy, education, and sustainable development. So our mission is very simple. Our mission is ensure to provide these young people opportunities and to ensure that these young people are not invisible. Afghan youth, they don't need humanitarian aid. They need investment in their potential. They need digital access, scholarships, leadership training, and mental health support, and safe spaces where their voices can be literally heard. And most importantly, they need inclusion in global decision-making processes and that shape their future. And technology have been a greater tool for them to ensure that their voices are heard and they have a space in the global decision-making process. This is why initiatives like Global Challenges Action Registry and digital public infrastructure are very important to them. Technology can help connect marginalized youth, especially from conflict areas, to opportunities, document their grassroots action, certify community engagement, and make young people visible in global systems that are too often overlook them. Today, Afghan youth are already leading changes, from underground schools to online education initiatives to youth advocacy network to climate and human rights activism. But they cannot do it alone. And it's not just Afghan youth, it's youth all around the world. Those youth who are living under poverty, those youth who are living under war traumas, and conflict areas. The international community must move beyond speaking about the youth or begin building with youth. And young people are not just beneficiaries of policies, and everybody should make sure that young people are not just beneficiaries of these policies, but we are also the partners of creating solutions. So I stand here not only as an Afghan woman, but also a part of a generation that we still believe in education, cooperation, peace, and human dignity, despite everything we have experienced so far. And we certainly believe that we empower young people, especially women, and we do not only transform individual lives, but we also transform communities, countries, and our shared future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lamar, for this beautiful story and your wonderful work. And talking now about this social energy and the mobilization power and, of these tools, I would like to invite Christina Stevens, is expert in media, in storytelling, in so many filmmaker, and our delegate. Please tell us about how you see these tools and our work as an entry point for creative community and for mass mobilization.
Thank you, Miro. Excellencies and special guests. Social action begins with stories that open the heart, speak heart to heart, and then eventually truth to power. And stories give birth to policy. However, I couldn't be sitting here today on May 7th, 2026, without actually telling you a story. And it's a story that over 24 hours ago, my close personal friend and colleague, a benefactor of this United Nations, and a friend of everyone on the planet, passed away. And he was one of the great storytellers of our time. Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, the first 24 hours news network, built a global media revolution, the likes of which has not been matched. Ted excelled at everything he touched. As a little boy, he sailed, and he grew up, he sailed little dinghies, and then he grew up to compete in the world's most challenging yacht race, and he won America's Cup. Ted believed in sports to bring people together. He not only owned a few World Cup winning teams, when the Olympic Games became politicized, Ted put his hand in his pocket and pulled out about $60 million and started the Goodwill Games. He wasn't born a billionaire, believe me, but he envisioned seeing everyone in the world caring about each other. This was why he started CNN, why he wanted to bring the world closer together so that we could live a good life and we could care about each other and take care of each other. Ted had an enormously intuitive mind, scary actually, it was very, very scary. He was a visionary, and he knew how to pick the right people to do the right work. He was a master delegator. He was never micromanaged. He knew exactly what to do. He would look at you, he would choose you to do a job, he would give you the job, he would trust you to do the job, and because of that trust, you did it. You delivered, and so this is why he was so successful. This is how he made his money. And he was always thinking. You could sit next to him and you could feel this thinking machine because he was always searching for a solution. And until you said, is something bothering you? He'd go, well, I'm thinking about this. You get the problem, and then he would give you the solution. This is a very unique person, but everyone here, and I know everyone in this room, has an aspect of this. He was just one person that just really focused on doing so much. Ted loved the earth. He was one of the largest landowners in the world. He helped the National Geographic Film Division. We would never have seen Underwater with Jacques Cousteau if Ted had not given him the money and free airtime. Whatever he did, he never thought about making a profit. He did what he believed had to be done. He brought the bison back. He planted 1 billion trees, and he believed in educating children. He had 5 children, and he came up with an idea about the Planeteers around the world. And if they put all their energy together, if they thought together, they could create a superhero. And what did they create? Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Now, I remember back in around about 2013, Ted told me he'd given Jeffrey Sachs around about $2 million to come up with the Sustainable Development Goals. This was the birth of the SDGs. And I remember one morning we were having breakfast, and Ted had this wad of papers, and he tossed them down, and he said, look at that, read that, Something's missing. So I started to read it, and I thought, oh, God, this is a test, you know. And I got through to the 8th SDG, and he said, I'll tell you what's missing. What's missing is the nuclear problem. We've got nuclear, and then you would start to cry and go, there'll be no more babies. So this is someone who was a billionaire who would cry about no more babies because we didn't have nuclear disarmament. This is a person that everyone should know. And here we are at the United Nations, and the beneficiary of Ted's generosity. Ted went to Secretary General Kofi Annan and said, Kofi, I'm going to give you that $1 billion. And Kofi said, I thought it was just our natural banter back and forth, you know, because we were always joking. You know, the UN was in arrears. Okay, I'm just finishing. I'm just wrapping up because this is why we're here. I mean, we are here because Ted gave this $1 billion to the UN. They're taking it, and he inspired the Giving Pledge. And if we are looking for funding, we need more people like Ted Turner out there, so we need to grow them. And Ted said, set your goals so high that you can't achieve them in your life. And that's what we all need to be doing.
Thank you very much, Christina. And the second stream that we are focusing on and bringing in the hands of the people for youth-led action is knowledge. And here we have with us Ruby, American Public Health Associations, National Association of Social Workers, and also our liaison person to Long Beach City College. Please, Ruby, tell us what we are doing and what is needed.
Excellencies and guests, greetings to all. I'm a social worker for the California Critical Citizens Review Panel. I'm also the co-chair for the United Nations Association for the United States of America Human Rights Affinity Group, where I'm coordinating youth, mental health, and technology initiatives. I come here to you today as a social worker and a humanitarian to help elevate the roles of humanities in the technical landscape of GloCha. Throughout the many 2026 STIForum events, there has been a running theme. How do we embrace, connect, and help failing communities where marginalized and the vulnerable are found? How do we bring the voice of all civil society, NGOs, that are central to the human experience? Technology has a way to equalize the playing field by cultivating local connections to the global audience. However, technology at times does not reach into the spaces where it's needed the most. GloCha is a tool that magnifies the empowerment process. As a result, GloCha is creating a pathway where everyone is welcome to come and participate, regardless of income and status. Now, I'm here to introduce my friend and my colleague, Joseph Negrete, who will share information regarding the empowerment process from the local to global, the GloCha project.
Thank you, Ruby, for having me here to represent Long Beach City College on behalf of our friend, Dr. Frank Henry Alat. So here is the Long Beach City College Public Health baggie. For those who haven't seen it, sorry, I kept it down here too short. So my name is Jose Negrete. We are developing a platform called the Community Health Worker Certificate Model that is a 15-unit credit, 5 classes, 1-year workforce development program where we focus on system-impacted youth, in particular the unhoused, foster youth that Ruby has extensive experience working with as a former foster youth.
Yes.
Growing up. So we're making sure that we connect those individuals that are refugees, those that are recent asylum seekers, even the undocumented that have an actionable plan of action to take back charge of their life through this program at Long Beach City College. And we're thankful to Miroslav here, who's allowing us to use his Global Challenges mapping tool in order to connect not just mental health, but also empower these youth ages 18 through 24, preferably the system impacted, to be able to become part of the UN solutions framework, part of this family of GloCha that we have in order to enable them to be the driver of change in their local environment that they live in. So when we're going to be testing out this pilot program under the LA 28 Resilience Funds for the Olympics that are coming up in 2 years, we have the World Cup coming up next month in Los Angeles, but we want to make this something that continues after LA 28. And my role with Miroslav and with Ruby and with Frank Henry Alav, Long Beach City College, is to replicate across different geographies, different institutions, the disconnected schools that are not part of the elitist institutions that the UN usually hires interns from. I just recently came from Geneva. It took me 3 master's degrees in order to get to the UN as an intern. I want to make sure the universities that don't have the name have those individuals into their systems, because that is the solution. Get those youth that are disconnected. As we say in the business world, you want to change business practices, it starts in the supply chains, but it also, to quote a good friend named Dilraj, you have to change the person working at the local level. And that person is going to be the change maker that then enables this transformation to happen. So we are looking forward to this LA28 grant in order to continue our work and replicate this across different cities across California, preferably disadvantaged, so we can get everybody, like I said earlier at the conversation, bring the UN to youth, but bring the youth to the UN. So with that, thank you so much for this. And I pass the mic back to Miroslav.
Bravo, thank you very much. And I would like to show now Professor Wiebe Konduri from the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and she is also the independent group of scientists for the UN Sustainable Development Report, and has hundreds and to a certain extent also thousands of academic organizations in her network, and looking on how we can build this science and data and knowledge infrastructure for empowering SDG action. And here we are tapping in, and this network is also going to be present at our festival. And now let's look to Professor Euphoria. Euphoria, that was the name of her organization. Yeah. So let's...
We are excited to be discussing the prospect of collaboration with GloCha, Global Challenges Action Partnership. Who is we? I'm Professor Wiebe Konduri. I did the IAAI Research Centers, one of the biggest research organizations in the world that is detailing solution pathways, science-based and stakeholder co-designed solution pathways for the implementation of the SDGs, and getting the society, the economy, and nature on a sustainable development pathways. What GloCha is doing is very important because it's bringing together into a digital infrastructure solutions that are empowered by the communities, solutions that are empowered by scientific knowledge, and solutions that are bankable, and in this way they can be financed by blended finance. My work prioritizes the science-based content. We have the data, the science, and even the money to implement sustainable development. But we need to work in partnerships and digitalize all the knowledge and all the partnerships so that the investable projects become XPs. We need to work on attracting the vast blended finance that is out there in order to accelerate the implementation. I'm excited to do that in my role as the co-chair of the United Nations Global Sustainable Development Report that is coming out in 2027. Thank you.
So this is really very important. That's already the bridge to the third topic, pillar, it's funding. We need really to develop systems which are income generating, and this is in the context of impact entrepreneurship. And I would like to give here the word to Austin Wade-Smith from Regen Foundation, who is an expert in this field. And afterwards, we will hear also a video from our friends from Rotary. Austin, please tell us how we get from these tools to verified and tradable, investable credits.
Thanks, Miro. It's a pleasure to be here, everyone. It's an honor. I had a presentation that I would like to
just
share.
a second.
I'll just get started already. My name is Austin Wade-Smith. For the last 5 years, I've been the executive director of a nonprofit called the Regen Foundation, which was one of the leading nonprofits in the space of developing blockchain-based solutions to carbon and biodiversity crediting systems. That is my area of expertise. I'm formerly an engineer, a writer, and a consultant. And since maybe middle of last year, I've spun out into a new project called River Computer, where I'm developing consultancy and piloting new projects for initiatives like GloCha. So I consult on GloCha's development. Can you go back one slide? So I'll be talking briefly around principles of designing digital infrastructure for SDG impact claims. I'm going to try to unpack that in a very easy to access way, and for you all to have some fluency to think about why this matters and why it matters in terms of investment. Next slide, please. So GloCha has a good name because it weds the local action to the global challenge, which is an incredibly difficult thing to do. And in my work at River Computer and at Region Foundation, I focus primarily on developing what are called claims engines. And what a claims engine does is something that tries to wed local action with global challenges. We have a wealth of different social and climate-based initiatives. Oftentimes they're mixed together. We've heard about a number of really beautiful examples that operate at the NGO or the local level. And we have a number of different public and private actors, whether it's in the carbon markets or the UN or in policy level, that are curious to ingest and understand what's happening at a local level in order for it to inform their policies, their decision making. And so you've heard this term enough times now that I think you're really going to remember it. But what we need in order to broker the relationship between the local action and the global challenges, we generally refer to as digital public infrastructure. That can be a shorthand for what might be like a Web3 based system, like a blockchain or a peer-to-peer system. But it's understood that it's not necessarily, it's public, it's not easily captured by a certain private interest. And next slide. The reason that I'm calling this process a claims engine is because I want to introduce the notion of a claim to you, because I think it's a really helpful primitive to wrap your head around what's happening here. So say we have a range of different personal actions that are through an app like the GloCha app or through a particular grants program. They're uploading the evidence of their actions into a system. Now, that's just data, but data doesn't actually run the world. The claims that we make about that data run the world. And so we need a way to essentially make that data human readable and accessible. And a claims engine is a way of taking the evidence layer and making verifiable claims about that people can understand. They're like, claims are basically like building blocks, like Lego bricks. And so the proposal that I want you all to hold from this presentation is, rather than just thinking around that we compose a set of reporting for a carbon crediting system or for an NGO compensation system, that we think about taking claims that can be aggregated together to do a range of different kinds of reporting. So you do the action once, and then you can make that claim legible to a range of different systems. And so we have a lot in the space of biodiversity crediting, carbon crediting, biocultural crediting, but that's also the space of like certifications and standards like fair trade or organic. How do you upload, how do you make claims around your organic practices? Similarly, around funding allocation systems, people want proof of impact. So, and then probably one of the most exciting is the notion of insurance. That is an industry which is rapidly transforming and essentially runs on ground impact claims. And so the idea is then that we could take upstream of any one of these particular outcomes of certifications or insurance or crediting, we deal with this building block, the claim, and it's a verifiable, stable unit. And what that opens up, next slide, please, is a wide range of different systems that might ingest impact data. And SDGs are a particular kind of fluency, a system that was made by the UN that Christina spoke about. But yeah, carbon credits speak a different language, as does insurance, so do training data for agents and AI systems. So I think what I want you to hold from this is that the systems around wedding local action to global challenges can produce sort of data elements that then inform a wide number of sectors that operate in the public and the private domain. So we're entering into this space where we have a kind of blended model of investment that I don't think traditional investment really has a very good language around, because it's both building the infrastructure around commitments that governments and multinational organizations have made, but it's also being ingested by companies that are working in insurance or artificial intelligence. And the opportunity here is to create this wide, diverse set of investment opportunities. So think about what is the blended model. At River Computer, next slide. I've been developing this with a number of different organizations, some in Uganda, South America, in New Zealand, where we take bodies of evidence and run different claims over them to make claims around SDG impacts, as well as carbon crediting systems. You can step forward. I'll leave it at that, but I think there's a huge world here. If you're interested to learn more, you can talk to me there. Again, I advise for GloCha. I think one thing I'd like to close with is that increasingly in the future, like every institution and organization is going to need to ingest information from the ground around what's happening. And it's not just the data, it's the verified form of that. So who gets to say what's valid and what isn't, and how do we create credible and neutral infrastructure that allows all the different institutions to be able to like sense what's happening on the ground? Thank you.
Amazing, thank you very much. Congratulations, Austin, to the great work, and we are happy to have you as our advisor and team member and partner. So with this, the final contribution here in this part of the funding conversation and impact entrepreneurship, and that's with Rotary. We will hear from Alberto Palombo. He will introduce himself in the video himself, because today's event is also to a certain extent a public presentation of the Rotary Climate Action Club, which is the bridge between GloCha and the Rotary Club Brasilia International and the Environmental Sustainable Rotary Action Group. And we are proud to have Rotary as our social infrastructure partner, because it's not enough to throw a digital tool at people. You need really have accompanying social infrastructure that it's trusted, that capacity is built on how to use. And here, Alberto, our friend and partner.
Thank you very much, my fellow Rotarian and friend Miroslav Polzer, for the invitation to share a few thoughts from the Rotary SRAC perspective in this session of the UN STI Forum for SDGs, depicting the empowerment of communities with digital public infrastructure. At COP30 in Belen, we helped demonstrate a simple but important idea. Climate action becomes real only when global ambition reaches the last mile. People, neighborhoods, schools, watersheds, local enterprises, and communities. COP30 also showed that Rotary's value is not to replace government, nor to replace climate funds, but to help to connect global priorities with practical, organized, community-based implementation. That is why this STI forum discussion is so important. The GloCha DPI stack offers something that the world urgently needs, which is an open and interoperable way to coordinate action, document it, and make it visible for showing who is doing what, where, how, and with which resources and with what results. And results are very important. This is why, and this was already link in COP30 to an initiative in Uganda, including a Rotary-led pilot and a keynote on climate entrepreneurship, empowerment, and carbon markets readiness that were presented at the Digital Innovation Pavilion. From the Rotary perspective, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, SRAC, we bring a unique asset, which is the capillarity. Through Rotary's presence across more than 40,000 communities worldwide, we can translate climate ambition into local action. SRAC exists to inspire, educate, and equip Rotarians, Rotaractors, friends, and community leaders with practical and high-impact environmental solutions. In this partnership, Rotary contributes social infrastructure for climate delivery. And I would frame this contribution around three pillars: social energy, knowledge, and funding. First, social energy. Communities already want to act. Young people want to act. Volunteers want to act. And Rotary and Rotaract can help organize that civic energy into credible local initiatives for adaptation, mitigation, resilience, biodiversity, health, water, and sustainable livelihoods. Second is knowledge. Digital tools like the Action ID, the Impact Passport, the Action Registry, and the Challenges mapping tools can help communities identify needs, document interventions, track outcomes, and generate trusted local. This is how we turn a scattered effort into shared intelligence. And third, but not least, but not less important, is funding. Let's take an example of the Uganda pathway. Built on the Rotary Climate Action Club launch in COP30, we can help connect Rotary clubs in Uganda with initiatives like the Uganda Pearl Carbon Platform so that community-level climate action is better documented, recognized, and linked to carbon markets readiness and climate finance. This platform was launched on the sidelines of COP30 as a digital system for Uganda's carbon and green finance pipeline. We could model this innovative partnership to replicate local action in Brazil, like through the Cerrado Savannas, where I live, the Amazon rainforest, and empower these communities in this critical ecosystem to improve livelihoods, and at the same time work together to common objectives of climate resilience and adaptation. This is exactly the kind of last mile bridge that we need in between local action and larging funding flows. So the real opportunity here before us is to bridge humanitarian and community service with digital public infrastructure. And if we combine Rotary social reach, GloCha's digital tools, and Align Finance, we can build a true last mile architecture for climate action, people-centered, locally rooted, and globally legible. That is how adaptation, mitigation, and resilience move from aspiration to implementation. And with social energy, knowledge, and funding working together from the local community upward. So thank you for this opportunity, and have a great event.
Thank you very much, Alberto. Rotary is really a big player, and we are proud to be a partner. And talking of partners, I would like, before running to the airport, because at 5 o'clock is my flight from Newark, I'm a little bit in a hurry, but I would like to acknowledge the presence of Gloria Kins, our friend and advisor on our advisory board for GloCha. Gloria has connected us with people, with knowledge, with resources over the last 10 years. Gloria, would you like to say a few words? Yes. You have to press there the
honor
yeah.
to have been included in this conference. The value of it is just what we see here, brains and initiative from young college graduates to already successful entrepreneurs who want to pull the same wagon. What is amazing is the way you've managed to pull us all together. I can only tell you that from day one, when I met Miroslav, I was impressed, because Miroslav not only has given hours every day to put these thoughts and initiatives into reality, he has taken finances from his family, not other people's money, and poured it into this initiative when it was not easy for him with a family he had to educate and take care of. He has sacrificed to get us all together, and bravo, Miroslav, and thank you for including
As Gloria is mentioning, a great thank you to my wife, who is a key investor in this program that we have. So, and wishing everyone and all the best, and thanks again, Anais and Jose. You are great leaders. You will take over and lead us to success. Thank you.
So we are fortunate to have a remarkable group of global partners with us today, and each will have 3 to 4 minutes to share their perspective and contribution to the GloCha Global Challenges Action Partnerships. I will introduce each speaker briefly and will give a time signal at 3 minutes and will apply, please come to the stage, and thank you very much.
All right, good to have you all back here. We're ready to get started. Just being mindful of the time, we are supposed to leave here at 2:45, so we're going to be switching the interactive questionnaire Q&A session. We can probably just meet after outside of the room for that conversation, but for now, I am going to speak for one of our colleagues, Laurent Cesarin, who is not here today, but he is from the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, UNOOSA, on harnessing collective geospatial intelligence through innovative partnerships. So I will read the message he sent us in support of GloCha and Miroslav's efforts. So he is very sorry that he could not make it today in person to New York, and that his director and Marcus, who are there, are unable to attend the side event as well, because there's another event conflicting with our event right now. But at the same time, he would like to pass on a message, and that is to the participants and confirm that their strongest interest in our DPI-related efforts. As the UN entity trying to coordinate access to and purchasing/sharing of space-based data satellite imagery and derive geospatial data across the UN system and for member states. He is being approached by numerous countries to support building and access to satellite imaging for monitoring purposes, be it disaster risk reduction or environmental or water management context, into their national DPI efforts, and much more requests that will be coming for sure. As an urban planner, I can tell you that this is also a way to use geospatial intelligence for data to help. So they have programs like UN SPIDER, Space Technology for Disaster Management, or the International Committee on GNSS. We are helping to implement our vehicles through which such projects can be promoted to support the needs of our member states, as all of our needs differ, whether it's environment or thematic context, right? And also, just to highlight that he has a planned partnership with GloCha that will also be building on the joint initiatives with the UN geospatial networks, where they agreed upon time ago with Miroslav in order to mobilize financial resources and to develop collective geospatial intelligence tools, including through AI agents, which will empower and bring added value to local decision-making and action, starting with the youth. So with that statement, I just want to express that our friend Laurent looks very much forward to working together on DPI and on the integration of satellite imagery data as assets into national and international DPI workflows. So with that, I pass the baton back to Anais to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you very much. Now we'll give the stage to Eric Anzel of Scubaverse.
Thank you, Anais. Good afternoon, delegates. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I've been a rep with GloCha for the last year, and when I first started to build the Scubaverse, I thought I would make video games that were scientifically accurate so that my daughter could understand how amazing the ocean is. Over the last year here at the UN and the last 6 or 7 months with Ambassador Aaron from Dominica, I've come to understand how to improve upon that initial plan so that this platform can serve member states. Starting with the Marine Digital Public Infrastructure platform that delivers a revenue-generating virtual tourism software-based platform, and growing into something that can be a full digital twin of the ocean and connect countries together through their marine digital public infrastructure in ways that will spark investment. We've worked on a pilot with the country of Dominica, and Ambassador Aaron and I worked on a video teaser, and I'd ask you to show that now. Beneath these waters lives a world most people will never see. A world that feeds nations, protects coastlines, and holds half the oxygen that we breathe. And right now, it's disappearing. Scubaverse is a subscription platform that lets anyone virtually dive the world's reefs. Not a video tour, but an interactive ocean with real scientific data underneath every surface. You have agency. You choose where to go, what to explore, and what to protect. Scientifically grounded, gamified, built on a living digital twin of the ocean. The first pilot is here, the Commonwealth of Dominica, the world's first climate-resilient nation, home to sperm whale calving grounds, UNESCO-class reefs, and national leadership already embedded in the UN Ocean Decade. If it can be done anywhere, it belongs here first. Imagine diving the reefs of Scott's Head, swimming the whale migration corridors, experiencing Dominica's ocean as if you were actually there from anywhere on Earth. And as your virtual progression grows, it unlocks real-world experiences. Every dive a choice, every visit a discovery, every experience your own. When people experience the ocean this deeply, they care about it differently, they give differently, and they act differently. A percentage of every subscription supports Dominica's conservation efforts and ocean literacy for the next generation. Tourism revenue flowing directly back into the reefs and communities that earn it. This is the first national ocean digital twin in a small island developing state, a model built not just for Dominica, but for all the climate vulnerable nations waiting to see it work. A new model for the ocean economy, for funders, for governments, for communities that live closest to the water. The ocean is calling. Will you answer?
Start with our another colleague, Mac Okubo. If you are ready to go and speak, please take the mic.
So I have a presentation notes. Thank you. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Mac Okubo. Then actually, I'm a general manager international affair for Nippon Life Insurance Company, the largest life insurance company of Japan, and also under APEC Finance Minister's process, I serve as a Sherpa for APFF, Insurance Health and Retirement Income Network. And also, I think probably I'm most known to this community as the Executive Director for Music for SDGs, a project to promote the United Nations SDGs through music, fashion, and movie and art. And also I serve as a global ambassador for World Fikari Project, bringing the light through technical assistance, innovation, culture, and art. I may sound like covering almost everything, but just call me Mark of all trades. So maybe the next page. Let's say that maybe I can continue the speech. So my name, Makoto Okubo. So my last name, Okubo, has 3 characters. The O means big, Q means long-term, BO means insurance. I'm Mr. Big Long-Term Insurance and very happy to represent the largest life insurance company of Japan. And we have been working heavily on the promoting the long-term investments in infrastructures and also digital innovations. And we are bringing a lot of the expertise actually to work together. So actually, you talk about a lot about the innovation. You talk about the funding. You talk about the benefits and impact. Actually, there are so many investors which are looking for the investment opportunities to, for example, which have an impact. But there are so many projects they are looking for the funding, but they have no clue what are the requirements, what are the expectations of those investors. So there's a big distance. As being a part of an investment community and also the working together with the civil societies and with the other people, we are very happy actually to fill the gap by bringing the liaison among those people. So we can work together. So let's say, and also sometimes the regulation will make it difficult, so we have to work together with the government. So let's say PPP for PPP, the public-private partnership for people, planet, and peace. So this is something that we need. Actually, we have been working very heavily on for example, using the edutainment actually to enhance awareness of the people. For example, education actually can be done. If we have an insurance conference, maybe we have only 300 people, but actually, so, and then about the video? Yeah, so continue, okay. So video will come later, so I'd like to explain. So first, I'd like to talk about Nippon Life Group's business paradigm shift, and also the APEC Finance Ministers process, and also I would share some music for SDGs activities, and then these are actually from my 6-year-old painting about the biodiversity and health. And also the empowering children, we are now working on having the Children's Summit actually to bring the children to find a solution. Next page. So sorry for the technical problems. We cannot show the presentation. So, but maybe I can share that documents later with those people. So actually, talking about Nippon Life, actually, I entered the industry in 1988, and during the job interview, I told them that life insurance is not death insurance. You have to support the life of the people. If you think that insurance is the business to get money when something bad happened, you're still in the 20th century. So now we are working on a completely different system that I have foreseen already in 1988. So now this insurance 2.0 is actually working to have our people healthier, as healthy as possible. This is an insurance 2.0. But we are in the insurance 3.0. So we define the insurance, life insurance business as the business to remove anxiety from every part of your life. So this is something we do. We take care of your babies while you're working. If you have mental issues, you can call in. And we do have a business matching in every prefecture. These are fundamental ways to have a partnership. And then also, for example, we are doing the consultation for medical services, and also we own hospital. We are engaged in the medical revolution. We're having the funding for the innovation, which include the health of the people. So this is something that we do, and there's the tremendous opportunities for partnership and collaboration. And the next one is for example, I can probably share the APEC activities. So I serve as a Sherpa. So currently we are working on the many different projects. And recently we have added a new mandate for our work stream, which is working on the sustainable and resilient real estate and cities. So we are engaged in the urban planning. And also we are doing the digital innovation. For example, so the digital innovation is like responsible use of AI and innovation. This is something that we have been doing. And also the enhancement of the women's health is one of the part. So this is something that we are doing. So let me share some of the activities of Music for SDGs. I wish I could show the beautiful pages to you, but actually we are successfully organized the Music for SDGs concert at Expo. And also we had the Earth Day music festivals online for 6 hours, inviting the artists from all over the world. And also Disability Unite, which is the largest inclusion event based in New York. And I was successfully nominated the 3 finalists last year, 4 finalists this year for the top 10 and working on the inclusion related topics. And if you're still here in New York on the coming Saturday, we are having a Japan parade. Actually, the 10 people from our team have a parade on 9th of May, so you can come to see us. So lastly, we go to the fashion weeks and we go to the movie festival and we organize a music event for international conferences. So let's work together. So we have the tremendous ways to collaborate each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael Kubo. We'd like to invite now Alexandre Caldas of Diplomacy to talk to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and esteemed colleagues and esteemed authorities and to the organizers. Again, thank you for the invitation. I'll be very brief. At Diplomacy, we have invested in the last year, particularly on trying to look at problems and trying to identify solutions for those problems. I think that's the spirit behind science, technology, innovation for the SDGs. Let us be very honest and transparent. The whole world, and particularly the UN, have a big problem with the SDGs because we are at year 11 out of 15 years to achieve the agenda to 2030 and the SDGs, and we have failed. So basically, the reality is that only 15 to 20% of the goals, 17 goals, have been achieved, and 40% are completely off track, and 20% have no data. So basically, that's the cartography and the mapping of the reality. In situations like these, where we have a problem, we have to apply all the best science, technology, and innovation to come out with a solution. At Diplomacy, we have implemented what we call the One Humanity Index. And the One Humanity Index is a serious proposal for what we call the future development agenda. So it's not the current development agenda, but the future. It's to pick on the lessons learned and the best practice and put in place a framework for measuring, monitoring progress for humanity. What we have done, so if you go to online, you have it available, onehumanityindex.org or .net or .info.com, and you have it available. So you have, for the very first time, a planetary system with a dashboard on the people, places, planet, peace, partnerships, and prosperity, and you have only 25 indicators to measure these. So it's simple. Second thing is scalable, because you can go from the very global of the whole world and planet to 200 nations, and then you can go to each nation and then to go to the local level and then identify the 25 indicators. So it's scalable. And third, most importantly, sustainable. It's resilient to shocks. That's the problem with monitoring frameworks like these that we had on the SDGs. It's not resilient to shocks. So you need to have scenarios, built-in scenarios into the framework. So basically, what I want to introduce here as an innovation is there are solutions for the One Humanity, and the One Humanity Index is one of those solutions. The second thing, and I have only 1 minute, but we have implemented these with a human-centered approach, we have used the best of geospatial intelligence and used AI for strategic foresight, for doing the proposed future development agenda and the One Humanity Index. Let me just conclude by saying that we identified during the process the problem of identity and humanity identity. 8 billion people, I'm not sure if you are aware, but 1 billion humans are not identified. They do not have an identity. We're talking 1 out of 8 billion people, 1 billion do not have an identity. And compounding to this, we have the digital identity problem. So we have designed a onehumanity.id as a solution for this problem. So I'll conclude here, just as the spirit of the STI Innovation Forum is about bringing innovation. I'll stop here bringing these two innovations, the One Humanity Index and the onehumanity.id as identification measures for the digital public infrastructure. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we will invite US Peace Boat to speak to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here with all of you today at the STI Forum on Science, Technology, and Innovation. My name is Emily McGlone, and I work as the director of an international organization, Peace Boat US. Our organization also works to bring young people together as we are traveling around the world, working on education for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And to share a little bit more about Peace Boat, we are visiting around 20 countries every 3 months. And we were founded in 1983 in Japan by young people as well. So today we're really excited to be here supporting young leaders and their efforts towards the SDGs. In our organization's efforts, we really believe that travel in itself can be a tool for positive social and political change. So using our ship as a venue as we travel the world, we have guest speakers who come on board and share their thoughts around important issues, including human rights, sustainable development, gender equality, and of course, peace and development. On board the ship, we are also traveling to many different areas of the world, of course, always in coastal communities, where we connect with local organizations that could be NGOs, women's groups, or civil society organizations making a positive change for people on the planet. And we have created for this also a special Youth for the SDGs scholarship program, where we encourage young leaders ages 18 to 30 to join us on board the ship to share their experiences in capacity building programs. And that's also how we are connected here with GloCha today. We're really also excited that we are partnering now with GloCha on our internship program. Today we also have some of our youth leaders here in the audience, and we have an internship program here in the United Nations Plaza at our office. We're able to include young leaders in having a seat at the table and participating in all of the United Nations conferences. And as we look at the United Nations Ocean Decade, which we are now in the middle of this decade until 2030, promoting the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, we are also working towards the transition model and decarbonization of maritime for our ship towards Peace Boat's EcoShip project. And we're really excited to bring digital technology, innovation, and science to the forefront of all of our work and encourage young scientists and builders in the peace building area to join us as we travel the world. So thank you so much to all the organizers. One more round of applause for the organizers here today.
Thank you all. The breadth of this partnership, from space agencies to ocean science, from sustainable finance to youth mobilization, shows the truly systemic ambitions of what GloCha is building. And before we open for interaction, and we won't be able to have a lot of questions, but please come to us after the ceremony to ask as many questions as you wish. I want to make sure everyone in this room and online is aware of two important things. We will have at the closing ceremony the QR code if you want to join us, as well as the NFC tags to have all the further information to join us in Austria, but also to join the movement. And also, thank you very much for all your presence today, and your attention and patience, despite the technical difficulties. And we are at the close of our session. And on behalf of IAAI, GloCha, our co-organizers, and all our partners, thank you for being here in this room and around the world via UN Web TV. The tools we've seen today, the pilots you've heard about, and the partnerships in this room represent something genuinely new. A grassroots to global infrastructure for accountability, recognition, and incentivization of action for the common good. The session is closed. Thank you very much.